the music.
I have it. We're still initializing. Hey, we're live. Wait, hold on. Wait, watch this. Lost my timing off. It's the longest 35 seconds ever. Because I can't hear it anymore, so it's way louder or longer.
Oh, got it.
Hi, Jack. How you doing?
Hey, Frank.
I wait till more.
Hey, everybody else. Thanks for finding the Geek Spot as always with us.
We did zero promotional anything today. Zero.
And they're still. Well, look, my mom showed up, so that's what we've been waiting for. And Charles is here now too. Look at that.
Hey, Charles. Just waiting for one guy to show up. Just waiting for one right now.
I know you got sound effects queued up. I'm sure there's some people
I'm waiting.
I would assume if Charles was a football guy, it's probably a Steelers guy. So he's already been out for a minute.
He's been out for quite a while. Do you know though? Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. Ever.
It doesn't surprise me.
Good coach.
There's only two people with better playoff records than him.
Andy Reid.
Harbaugh and Belichick.
Oh, Andy Reid's third overall.
Andy Reid might be up there. Yeah, so I think Tomlin's right above Andy.
Yeah, Andy Reid is now third most playoff wins in the history of football.
And then Harbaugh's up there too from the Ravens.
So how was your week?
Because they've been coaches for so long. So far so good. It was fairly quiet. I mean, I made my debut down in media at Barnaby's Aston, not Aspen. That would have been cool. But Barnaby's Aston, that was a cool gig. Yeah. I did not end up playing at Chambers 19 over the weekend because there was a little football game that stopped the city and all of the surrounding area for a night.
It did.
But that's all good. I'm back at Wilson's this week.
Nice.
You were there.
I was. Hey, Pete.
It's reasonably priced location, but a little more rock stuff there, so that's always fun. I watched some stuff, not as much. We were talking in the green room before we came on about I caught a little bit of finished up Yellowstone. Got up to date, at least up to season 5, so now I can stop watching on Peacock. So that's still a show.
They're doing 2 spinoffs of that, right?
No.
2 more.
2 more?
So there's they're doing one oh crap. Now they're doing the 4 Sixes, right?
The which one?
So
the 4 Sixes, okay.
4 Sixes where Jimmy went.
Yeah.
I gotta there we go.
Dom's here.
Dom, I saved this just for you and your New York Giants.
Nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
I've been waiting 6 minutes for that. Thank you.
Do you think Timothée Chalamet does that in his new Wonka movie coming out this year?
I can't imagine it's going to be any good.
I can't. Do you think? But he's young. Do you think he goes more depth than he goes Wilder?
Maybe.
Oh, it's hard to decide, right? I think that's all I watched. By the way, I think it was a really slow week, and it was just a lot more Yellowstone to try and get up to date, so I can go watch 1883 and 1927 or 722 or whatever year it is.
Dom, you absolutely
4 or 5 more years, and the Giants will be after you, Frank.
Coming, but you're not coming this season. We are. We are.
Okay.
I had an eventful weekend. I did nothing Friday, and then Saturday I went out and watched the game. Actually, Saturday was board game day.
Very nice.
A lot of fun.
Oh, you did that instead of watching any football? That makes sense.
Well, during the day, yeah.
Oh, okay.
from about 2:00 to about 6:00. We played some pretty cool games. There's one Roman game where you have to. It's cool. I don't remember the name of it. And then I went over to Angie's to watch the game, and we ended up doing karaoke at night. It was fun.
Did you do anything weird on Twitter in the last 48 hours?
All right. I may or may not have wrongly tweeted something that was supposed to be amusing and funny, and I may have inadvertently mentioned Hulk Hogan and told him to go fuck himself while I was drunk.
Yeah, so Frank might not be the most Twitter savvy of individuals.
No.
And when responding to one of our friend Matt's tweets.
Was it Matt or was it Iron Sheik?
Oh, it was Iron Sheik.
I
think Matt had retweeted.
Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
Find that tweet here. Just so
and he said, F that in more colorful language at Hulk Hogan. So we will see what happens, brother. When Hulk comes for you. Maybe it'll be Hemsworth as Hulk Hogan will come for you.
That's what it was. So my friend Matt, for those that can see, you can't see that. He Ray has my Twitter handle is Gimzak, Gimzak. I'm pretty
same as his Insta.
Yeah. My friend Matt took a picture. Ray has a bunch of the old school wrestling figurines that you could pose. And he has an Iron Sheik one that is missing an arm. And Matt took a picture of it and he added the Iron Sheik. And I replied to his with fuck the Hulk Hogan. At Hulk Hogan. I actually replied F the, and then I added Hulk Hogan. Nothing has come of that yet. But at the moment, that's what I did.
I don't know how active the Hulkster is on
not as active
on
as
the Twitter.
Not as active as the freaking Iron Sheik is, if that's even really him, but it's the greatest Twitter follow in the world. If you don't follow the Iron Sheik, it's really fun. He also is not a Cowboys fan.
Well, that's fair. What kind of fan is Iron Sheik? Is he a 49ers fan?
No, he didn't really say what fan he was, but he wasn't happy with the 49ers. And for all the people that are listening that are 49ers fans, that are Dallas Cowboy fans, that sums up the last play of your season.
Yeah, I do enjoy the fact that Jalen Hurts has been born and gone through his entire career and made it to the championship game in the time it has been since the last time Dallas was at a championship game.
You know that I actually dated women more recently than the Cowboys have won an NFC championship game. I've had 2 kids.
It's been almost 30 years, Frank.
I have 2 kids in their 20s before the Cowboys have won an NFC championship game.
I was in high school the last time they won a championship game.
I probably also was.
No. You were somewhere with the Rockets, I'm sure.
No, not in the early 90s. Was it
95? 95 was the last Super Bowl they won.
I had not yet rocketed up. I had not leveled up to the Rockets just yet.
Anything else exciting going on?
No, I caught up on Frank. Dom, you're correct. I did have hair. I had lovely, gorgeous hair back then.
He looked like Hulk Hogan.
Dom also replied that he and I had hair the last time the Cowboys were. Well, they're always good. It's just that they can't get over that NFC championship hump at all.
Or playoffs. Their first playoff road win since 1992 was last weekend.
Yeah.
It was a week and a half ago.
Yeah. No, other than that, this weekend was pretty low key for me after that. I did, and we'll talk about this closer to the end of the show. We're gonna try and stick to a firm hour because of tonight. We almost didn't have a show tonight because the WWE is having their 30th anniversary of their television program. Raw is taking place tonight in Philadelphia. Many stars from the past coming back tonight.
It's probably been that long since I watched Raw.
To
be fair,
So I'll take a second. There's a really good storyline that they're doing right now that's going throughout wrestling with the tribal chief Roman Reigns and the bloodline. It's his cousins, the Usos, who are the tag team champs and have been so for over a year. Roman Reigns has had the belt for like an obscene like 700 or 800 days. He's had both belts.
Wow.
And it's a really, really good storyline. And Paul Heyman continues to be one of the best things on television. He'd make a great addition to Yellowstone, but his just what he does for wrestling is just sensational. And they have this, they're the bloodline and they're on top. And then they have another wrestler, Sami Zayn, who's worked his way into the bloodline. He's an honorary Uso. They call him the honorary Us.
Oh.
And they've been leading to a big breakup of this group where they turn on Sami Zayn at some point. And tonight they were supposed to have this big ceremony to honor the tribal chief, and all the past people from the bloodline were going to show up. Afa and Sika, the Samoans, were going to be there.
You're just making up words now, I think.
Not. You would remember Afa and Sika from back in the day when you watched wrestling when the Hulk Hogan was part of it. But they were, basically anybody of Samoan descent is in some way, shape, or form. They're all related, cousins, nephews, whatever. Rikishi was going to be there, but there's been travel issues with them, so they've changed that storyline to now be the trial of Sami Zayn, and it's one of those weird things that I'm really super interested in. I don't like all of it anymore, but that little bit.
Does that mean that The Rock is coming back tonight?
So there's a lot of speculation that obviously he's not making any Black Adam movies right now or anything for DC.
Thank God.
That they were going to have The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Royal Rumble is coming up in a week from tonight. And then that is the official kickoff to the road to WrestleMania. Everything leads to that. And they were going to have The Rock. The big rumor was The Rock was going to fight Roman Reigns. And they had done some teasing in the media. But from what I had been reading, The Rock hasn't been able, while The Rock is super buff and strong, he doesn't have the stamina that he would need to do like a 20-minute wrestling match. So
that's fair.
Right. So it does not look like that he's going to be showing up at WrestleMania, though anything could happen.
Well, that's exciting stuff.
And that's the most wrestling we've talked in a row. Longest.
I feel like that all should end up over on Yellowstone as their next spinoff.
That would be a great.
Because I feel like it's the same core audience there. So real quick in the chat, I see Dom went back and watched Daredevil, or is currently rewatching Daredevil.
Okay.
Did you finish Daredevil, Frank? I never know.
I never finished the third season. I think I picked up Friday Night Lights at some point.
Got it. Because I was going to ask if you how the end of Black Adam was too, but I knew better.
Yeah, that's not a thing for me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So Daredevil, Dom, you can
spoil it.
With no. They did have a lot of MCU references in. There was a lot of the event, especially in season 1. They made a lot of callbacks to the MCU. They kind of weeded them out by season 3 when they were like, "Oh, we're not part of the movies anymore." Okay, let's push this stuff to the side. But I'm gonna have to go back and do a rewatch of that at some point. I mean, we have forever and a day before Born Again comes out, so I got plenty of time. But I've started reading the comics. I'm still going through the Daredevil books. I got distracted and read the new Dark Crisis over the weekend for DCU because their new the new comic book app, the DC Unlimited app. If you pay a little bit extra, you get new comics 30 days after they drop in the stores.
Oh, nice.
I'm like almost up to date again on stuff, so I got to read all the latest Dark Crisis, which is just like a hack job on the original. The original was so good. It's everything they've done since then is just not great and doesn't really live up to it. But that put me on hiatus from my Daredevil read because I started back in like the 70s on Daredevil, and right now I'm in like the mid 90s in the run.
God damn.
Which that book, if you read the book, like what we think of for this show, like there was a solid 15 years when they never even went into like the courtroom with him.
Really?
Like he wasn't even a lawyer. He had no identity. Kingpin had ruined him. And like when Kingpin ruined him, that lasted like years.
Oh, wow.
And they went down these really crazy supernatural things where like Mephisto had it out for Daredevil. And that was a solid like 2 or 3 years of storylines.
Mephisto.
So, you know, he was the engineer. I don't know if you remember from WandaVision.
Yes.
But Dom, you know, keep letting us know where that's at for you. If you, I don't know how far you got through it. It's a little chunky because there's so many. All those episodes were super long,
There's the
which is probably where Frank dropped off. You know,
Um,
did you at least get to see the Punisher come in season 2? You just
I
stopped
did.
at season
I
3.
finished 2. No, I finished 2. I did 1 and 2. It was really
Got
good.
it. Season 3 was yeah, season 3 was like a weird condensed version of what they did with those the Born Again and the Kingpin crushing Matt
Gotcha.
Murdock.
I never did any of the other series though. So, I know, again, shocker, but
Got it. Yeah. Look, Iron Fist season 2 was good.
I
You
heard
skipped
that.
season 1. It was god awful.
And I heard
The Finn
Jessica
Jones
Jones
to
season
come
1
back,
was
so
really
we'll
good.
see.
Jessica Jones
Jessica
and
Jones, all 3 seasons of Jessica Jones were good.
Yeah.
Third one was probably the roughest, but the first 2 were great.
Avatar.
Yeah. You got to go. You got to go.
It crossed $2 billion at the worldwide box office. It's only one of 6 films to accomplish this, and now James Cameron has 3.
Titanic was over too? I guess it was, huh?
I mean, third film, $4 billion.
Yeah, it'd be Avatar, Titanic, and Avatar 2. I would guess.
So it has officially, Yeah, it is
and then you got
officially
Infinity War
beat
and Endgame
Spider-Man
in there
No Way
too, right?
Home. Endgame is fourth. Endgame should be 4th.
Did you freeze on us there, bud?
Did I freeze
I think
again?
you may have frozen.
Oh, don't fucking start with me tonight.
Which sounds about right. You might want to jump and come back. Because I don't know what's going on with you. Oh, there he goes. All right. Hopefully Frank comes back in a minute. So yeah, we did see the Avatar 2 just past the 2 billion mark, which is pretty impressive. There you are. You back?
All right.
Hey, there you are. So past 2 billion.
2 billion. Why is that showing on my screen now?
I don't know. You look great. Never looked
Yeah,
better.
no, the video clip is showing. Oops. There we go. All right. Yay. Shocker. Anyway. Yeah, so it's number 2 is Titanic, number 3 is Spider-Man, I believe. I'm not Googling anything right now because I'm going to freeze.
No, it's Endgame.
Endgame, that's right. I'm sorry. It passed Spider-Man is what it did.
Yeah, it all depends on if you adjust for inflation, right? As soon as you start throwing inflation numbers out there, all of this gets real wonky real fast.
It does. So yeah, maybe I'll go see it at some point. I don't know. We'll see. I got stuff going on.
It's worth it for the experience to say you did it. I regret having not seen the first one in the theaters. Because it was awful on my TV.
I don't get paid. I don't get my first check till February 1st. Okay.
Got it.
So we're in flux. Disney is about to ruin another franchise.
Oh, that's exciting. Which one this week?
Tron.
Oh, yeah.
Jared Leto has been cast as the lead in Tron 3.
Young up-and-comer. Jared Leto, if you haven't heard of him. Recently made that star-filled turn in Morbius, and in a fat suit in Gucci. In case you hadn't caught him lately in things that he's prone to be odd and weird in.
In 2010, they released Tron Legacy that starred Garrett Hedlund, Olivia Wilde, and Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
It hit 400 million worldwide. Wasn't a bad movie.
Still no Tron.
Hate it.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
No, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't really good. So now it's going to be Jared Leto. Is going to be described as a reboot.
Yeah, I don't know how you reboot with a dude like in his early 50s as a tech guy.
Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tales director Joaquin Ronning is in talks to helm the installment, which is titled Tron Ares.
God, I
Tron
hope that
Ares
changes.
is considered to be a sequel to Tron Legacy instead of a reboot. There you go. Production is
No,
going
I'm
to
good.
begin in 2023 based on a script by Jesse Wigato.
I think I'm good.
I will not be seeing that.
Hey, I don't know if you saw this week as you're going through. You might have this in the rundown coming up. But did you hear about the Michael Keaton news?
No, go with that now.
So
Jump in.
Michael Keaton was apparently on the line to play Jack Shepherd
Jack Shepherd.
in Lost.
Oh God, yeah! I swear, I think we touched on this in the past, but I do remember that he was because it was going to be a one-off, and he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, he didn't want to do the show.
Right?
The character was originally killed off at the end of the first episode,
Yeah.
and when they said he was going to live, he was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Now, how freaking weird would that series have been with Michael Keaton?
I mean, he didn't do TV until Dope Sick. I
Yeah,
don't think, right?
that would have been an interesting thing.
So we would have gotten Michael Keaton, 15 years. I wonder what that would have done to his career because it hasn't done shit for Matthew Fox.
Who?
Exactly. When you look back at the cast, because I started thinking about this when spoilers for season 3 of Yellowstone, Sawyer is there.
He is.
He likes to fish. It's weird. He's basically just Sawyer in Montana.
He really is.
Yeah, it's so weird. But anyway, if you look back at that cast, the only one like really still doing like anything moderately big is Evangeline Lilly. And even she, I think they just cast
No.
her and they're kind of hanging on to her still.
Actually, that's not true. And we're gonna take a sideways thing here real fast. I'm gonna look just at the top few people, not all of them, just at the top few.
Pete liked Tron Legacy too, I think.
Yeah, same. Jorge
have to see it
Garcia
again.
carved out a nice little career for himself.
He was on Hawaii Five-0.
Yep. Naveen Andrews actually has a comedy coming out soon. I actually just looked at that.
Who was Naveen?
That was Saeed.
Got it.
Okay. So he was a voice in Far Cry 4. He was Jafar in Once Upon a Time in Wonderland for 13 episodes.
Once Upon a Time, you mean?
It
That was a
No,
side.
it's just Once Upon a Time in Wonderland.
They started naming random seasons different things on that show.
Right.
He was on Homeland for a while too, but I'm not saying he hasn't been like
no, not
the
star.
guy.
Matthew Fox hasn't really done anything, but I think he got in some trouble too, if I recall. Actually, he went. Wow.
He went to Party of One.
Credits. He went from 2015 doing nothing to 2022, where he's in a TV miniseries. So you're right. Yunjin Kim, who played Sun, she really didn't do a lot. Terry O'Quinn is Terry O'Quinn. Daniel
He
Day-
hasn't done much either. Terry Quinn had like one show afterwards that he was in.
Right, but he's done an immense amount before that.
Well, he was only ever in The Cutting Edge. I don't know what else he's done.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
It really
Daniel
is.
Day Kim was in is the only one I think that actually has done.
He was also Hawaii Five-0, right?
He was in Hawaii Five-0. He was in The Premise, The Hot Zone, The Prophecy, New Amsterdam. He's in that.
Yeah, it was mostly people that didn't want to move home from Hawaii, and whatever show started filming in Hawaii, they were like, "I'll do your show."
He was the voice of She-Ra in The Princess of Power.
He was?
He was the voice of Mika.
Okay. Oh, he was not She-Ra.
He was not She-Ra. No.
Got it. Okay, I thought you said he was the voice of She-Ra. I was like, that seems problematic in today's age.
Is it though?
Which reminds me, did you see the Netflix news that Teddy, who greenlit all the Masters of the Universe and the TV shows that made us and all those things, is like one of the driving forces behind all of our childhoods getting rebooted on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
He is now the co-CEO of Netflix.
No shit.
Which is possibly promising. However, he did make some statements about he hears all the complaints of all the shows that are constantly canceled. So he's made some comments on that lately too.
Okay.
saying, "Look, they've never canceled a show that was doing well." He was like,
Fair.
The problem is, we do some of these big shows for big audiences, and then they don't get a big audience, but they have like a fanatical fan base that's vocal but not
Yeah.
profitable. He's like,
Right.
we need to figure out how to make these shows at smaller budgets so we can make more seasons for the fan base that they have, so then we can continue them, because they're starting to really run into trouble with all of these shows they're canceling on cliffhangers 1-2 seasons in.
Yeah.
There was a show, I forget what it was, with
1880.
Jeanette McCurdy. It was 1899, just got canceled. This is years ago. It's one of the old school Netflix ones with her. I think Josh Hartnett was even in the show, or somebody, one of those guys. But it was a fantastic show, and just after 2 seasons, they were like, nope. And it ended on a major cliffhanger. It was like this one town where people didn't get old.
Oh.
It's a super cool premise and super neat show.
Right.
Military stuff and all that kind of, trying to escape and everything. But then it just got hung up and canceled, as so many things did. Hemlock Grove, all those shows that they started out with on Netflix, that they were like, nah, we're just done.
Yeah. Well, one of the Netflix shows that is coming to an end, that didn't start on Netflix, released a trailer last week.
It did. It started on YouTube Red, if I think what you're talking about.
First
I
two
watched the first 2 seasons on YouTube Red, and everybody was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What's that?
Right. Cobra Kai will end its run at season 6 with this iteration. The trailer that they put out was nothing more than clips from previous seasons.
Yeah.
No new footage. Nothing new at all. And I guess you don't want to give anything away. Good. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know where they're at in filming. Season 5 only came out 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Right? In September. It was Labor Day, I think it came out. So it's not long, and what's his name had to be off shooting Blue Beetle a lot of this time. So they did say it's going to be the biggest, I guess it's going to be the international tournament.
It just says 2023.
Miyagi.
No, that's when season 5 premiered. So maybe we get it somewhere around September.
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Look, it's time.
It is.
Because there's only so much longer you can drag out these kids maybe being in high school.
Do you think they spin it off and do stuff with younger kids or whatnot?
I think they're gonna they're already talking about a movie reboot. Remember, they said they're gonna do something new in the Karate, but it's not gonna be Cobra Kai, because they realized the popularity that for some reason the punk kid from New Jersey,
I guess,
moving to California seems like a good storyline.
Sure it does. Sure it does.
It does in the 80s. It doesn't really work the same.
No.
In reality, that kid's not picking up karate. That kid's picking up
anything else.
Yeah.
Anything
else.
else.
Why can't Discord? That's what I was going to say. He's picking up Discord. He's not picking up karate.
Look, I'm really glad that they're ending it. I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed watching those characters. I think they spun it off into a weird way where they're going now. But I mean, if it ends, that's good. I'm glad for it to be ending.
Yeah, it started getting a little much when people are getting stabbed with swords.
I mean, it was a little much when you kick
and blowing up buildings.
When you kick a kid off a balcony at school and then you go into somebody's house and you destroy their house, it got a little long in the tooth at that point.
It was 3 seasons ago. He got kicked off the edge in what, season 1?
If he's from Camden, he's picking up a Glock. You're correct.
True story, Pete.
True story. Okay, we got some Game of Thrones shows in development. Yeah, there's 6 Game of Thrones shows in development. I'm gonna get your yes, I want to see it, or veto the hell out of it on these. First one is Jon Snow.
No.
Veto?
Yeah.
I agree. There's no need for a Jon Snow sequel series.
He was barely interesting enough in what they put him in. I get he was eye candy for people that watch the show, but like he was not a compelling character at all.
I would have rather seen a show based around Arya and her travel in the world.
100%.
The second one is called Tales of Dunk and Egg. This is a series of novellas written by George Martin. It was in the early stages of development. There are 3 published Dunk and Egg stories so far: The Hedge Knight, The Sworn Sword, and The Mystery Knight, set around 90 years before the events of Game of Thrones. Stories are a little lighter and less epic than the main series.
I don't need it.
Yep, don't need that.
I feel like those are books that you could go read. Make graphic novels of them. Expand the universe out into there. That opens up a whole bunch of fun. Or some Telltale video games. Do it as a Telltale game. That would be hot.
The Golden Empire and Game of Thrones animated spinoff. Now you have something here. This is based off of the Yi dynasty of Essos. George R.R. Martin's version of Imperial China.
Isn't that what they're doing tonight on WWE Raw? Isn't that what you just said earlier?
No, that's the Bloodline.
Oh, got it.
That's not Essos.
Oh, there was Oso. The Usos.
Usos.
Not the Essos. Right, got it.
It's not
bring it full circle.
Right. Whatever.
Look, I have Legends of Vox Machina still on my list that I really, really, really want to watch.
Right.
That's in that same kind of vein of the D&D world. So I would be down for an animated show if they do it right.
Okay. The Sea Snake.
No.
Horace Valerian.
Oh.
That Sea Snake. From this current.
I would watch a young how he got there for sure.
Yeah,
that could be a cool story.
It's supposed to be about his past, I believe.
Yeah, I would be as a regular show though.
Yeah, as a series. A
Mm.
limited series, maybe. Give me a limited series with him doing like flashbacks or something, or with him narrating like the beginning of something, and then show me what happened.
Show me how he got to Rhaenyra.
Yeah,
Is it Rhaenyra?
Because his line dies out at the end of Dance of Dragons. Spoiler alert. 10,000 Ships is a new show in development. Is the story of Princess Nymeria of Rhoyne. The Rhoynar was the dynasty. Rhoynar was destroyed by the Valyrian freehold some 1,000 years before the events of Game of Thrones, leading Nymeria to lead her people to safety and freedom. It is said that she commanded 10,000 ships to sail down the river Rhoyne, I believe I'm saying that right, and away from Essos. And while the number may have been inflated, it was clearly an incredible amount and journey nonetheless.
No.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
No, I'm good.
Flea Bottom was canceled. Blood Moon was canceled. And that's it.
Speaking of Blood Moon, so I watched Witcher Blood Origin.
Oh, yeah?
I made it till it's awful. It's so bad. It was a slog. Like there's some cool effects, there's some cool fight scenes, but just like it was so like forced for things. Like there's a love story that there was no reason to be a love story. They completely forced it into the storyline for no real good reason.
Oof.
And didn't do it. It was 4 episodes and they were only like 30 to 40 minutes each. So like it was crammed in there, and they're like, these two met and then like 2 days later we're in love for no real reason. And there was a love for the ages. I'm like, they hated each other like 30 minutes ago. I don't get it. But Michelle Yeoh was cool in it. Like I said, the fight scenes were cool. Some of the effects were neat. It sets up stuff for The Witcher in general and how we got to where The Witcher is. But yeah, it was
written. All right.
It was something.
Before I get into the last 2 stories, which are going to lead into spoilery stuff ish, we're going to run through the Razzies.
Oh, okay. I didn't see these, so I'm excited to hear what they were.
Absent from this year's slate of nominations is the special award given to Bruce Willis, who appeared in 11 movies in 2022. Last year, the Razzies created a category called Worst Performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie, but they rescinded the award after the diagnosis that came out about Bruce Willis and what he's struggling with, which makes sense.
Fair. And why he did 11 movies in 2022.
Correct.
Right.
So, if you think the Razzies would decide to be less mean-spirited this year, think again, as this year's nominees for Worst Actress include a 12-year-old.
Oh, well. They could have deserved it.
All right, worst picture. We have Blonde,
Yeah.
Disney's Pinocchio,
Yeah.
Good Morning, spelled Mour,
Oh yeah.
The King's Daughter, and Morbius. I have a feeling Morbius is going to clean up.
Yeah. Oh, these are just the nominees.
These are the nominees for worst
Got
picture.
it.
They haven't come out yet.
I think it's gonna be Morbius.
Worst actor. I'm not going to go through all these, even though there's only like 6 categories. Well, we'll just do the big ones. Worst actor: Colson Baker, aka Machine Gun Kelly, for Good Morning. Pete Davidson, who's only voicing Marmaduke. Tom Hanks as Geppetto in Disney's Pinocchio. Who I think is going to be your winner: Jared Leto for Morbius, and Sylvester Stallone in Samaritan.
Look, I am. I wanted to see Samaritan. Actually, that seemed like an interesting concept.
Yeah.
However, I will always vote for Pete Davidson to be the worst human being on the planet. So I will continue.
Fair enough.
In that trend of putting Pete Davidson on there.
Okay.
It's going good, by the way, Dr. Mad Studio. Awesome that you're checking out the show, especially late night.
Worst actress is Ryan Kiera Armstrong from Firestarter. She's 12 years old.
Okay.
Bryce Dallas Howard for Jurassic Park Dominion.
Ooh.
Diane Keaton for Mac and Rita. Kea. Let me get this.
You're doing a great job.
Scodelario for The King's Daughter, and Alicia Silverstone for The Requiem, or The Requiem, whatever.
Requiem, or is it Queen?
Requin. Requiem.
Requine. I don't know. Never heard of it. I do not know any of those movies except for Firestarter. I've heard of. I feel like next year, 80 for Brady will be on this.
Oh,
even though that looks like it's last.
I'm gonna do 2. I'm gonna do 3 more categories real fast.
Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Well, 2 more categories. Worst screen couple: Colt Baker, aka Machine Gun Kelly, and Maud's son. Good Morning. Both real life characters in the fallacious White House bedroom scene in Blonde. Tom Hanks and his latex-laden face and ludicrous accent in Elvis. I love these. Andrew Dominic and his issues with women in Blonde, and the 2 365 Days sequels, both released in 2022. Oof.
I feel good that I did not see most of the things, if any, nominated for these Razzies, except for Morbius so far. So I feel good about my life.
Elvis I would have seen.
And Pete is blaming your Doherty education, by the way.
He's right. And worst director, Judd Apatow for The Bubble, Machine Gun Kelly and Maud's son for Good Morning, Andrew Dominic for Blonde, Daniel Espinosa for Morbius, and Robert Zemeckis for Disney's Pinocchio.
Wow. I mean, which is funny because Geppetto is up for all the good awards this year, and Pinocchio is on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it is. So there you have that. That'll be fun when they do that drawing.
Yeah. Hopefully there'll be some other categories too by then.
There's. I
know there's more. We don't need to get into them.
Yeah. Jeremy Renner broke 30 bones in his body in that snowplow accident.
That's 206, right? 208, 206.
Yeah. Good news.
Good percentage.
He's going to walk again.
Oh, wow. I doubt he will be Hawkeye again.
How do you know? He could be just chilling behind a desk.
He could. I mean, look, you can still fire a bow from a wheelchair, and then that's how you give the handoff, right?
Yep.
CGI some running legs onto him, he'll be fine.
The snowcat that fell on him weighed at least 14,330 pounds. I don't say fell on him. I meant ran him over.
Yeah, that's 7 tons on your legs.
I mean, jeez.
I feel like that's what it feels like running into the offensive line for the Eagles. Is like you got run over by 7 tons.
Like Saquon Barkley did?
Yeah.
Over the weekend?
Well, he ran into their defensive line, but yeah. It's like
you mean like the
it's like when Jones got cocks all up in his face all weekend. Probably feels the same as a snowcat running over your leg.
Jones had cocks all up in and around his face all weekend long, right, Dom? So where's my other stuff? Do I have anything from Marvel? I do.
Oh, Feige said some stuff this week too.
Yeah, you want to do that while I pull this up?
Feige was just talking about how he sees that people are never going to get sick of the superhero genre, and that there could be 80 years because there's 80 years worth of stories that have been told that they can cram into all sorts of different genre work that still falls under that banner and doesn't have to be necessarily guys in tights doing things. Can be a lot subtler, either like what they did with Werewolf by Night, or what they did with the Marvel Netflix shows, where it doesn't have to be, crazy, big, flashy. They can do smaller stories if they wanted to, because there's, like you said, 80 years of all the content with so Dom, there is no dislike and unfollow button. We will follow you for the rest of your life now.
Forever.
But that's with that's what Feige says. I don't disagree with that. I think some of the more interesting stories are the smaller ones in those. I think you get in the weeds, which is kind of what the MCU did when everything needs to be this cosmic level event that's like world ending.
Right.
And get away from these like smaller stories that can just be self-contained. So I hope that they start going a little more that direction. Maybe once we get out of Secret Wars, because none of these movies coming up are going to be small. It doesn't seem like.
No, Ant-Man looks like it's going to be huge, and I have a blurb on that. James Gunn was kind of still Marvel-ish. He was asked about, he was talking with Empire, and he was asked about, what it feels like coming in the end of an era for him, basically. And to paraphrase everything he said, because it's a decent quote, he basically said, this cast is like my family. I can't tell you how close I am, and he names all of them, and he's like, but I also know that I will work again with all these people individually again. And then he laughed and said, probably at my other job. So I have a feeling he's going to start cherry picking the Guardians of the Galaxy cast to come over and work in the DC universe.
Who would you pull from that?
From that?
From Guardian, who would you want to see that in whatever role from Guardians pulled over to DC and stuff?
Chris Pratt is probably Chris or Palm.
Well, Palm's already been in. She was in the Suicide Squad.
Okay, true.
I mean, you can get away with recasting her as anything you want because she was just like a she would be an awesome Raven. Honestly,
I don't think you're going to see Dave Bautista and Zoe Saldana in another comic book type movie. I think Dave is trying to be more serious actor, and I think as maybe Zoe will, as long as she doesn't have to put on a ton of makeup.
Dave's always wanted to be Bane.
It's true, he has.
If there's somebody built to be Bane, it is Dave Bautista.
Think we can get a Vin Diesel over in the DCU?
God, I hope not. Or Bradley Cooper. Who do you pull? Like you also have, Michael Rosenbaum could come back. He's Martinex.
Michael Rosenbaum too.
Hey, thanks for stopping by, Dr. Mad.
Thank you, Dr. Mad.
Appreciate it. But yeah, Michael Rosenbaum, you could bring him back. He was in there. You had
so who was it? Technically, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ving Rhames.
Wait, didn't he pass? No, he didn't pass it. It was
Michael. No, that was Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah. Okay.
Ving Rhames was Charlie 27. You had Martinex was him. You had, I want to say it was Michelle Yeoh, and I hope that's who it was. Was in there as another character too. Is their
Michael
Rooker? Who they had her casting.
Michael Rooker.
Yeah. Well, Rooker was in. He was in Suicide Squad already.
He was in Suicide Squad. You're right.
Yeah.
The other thing I had about the MCU basically was that they basically have said, Paul Rudd basically said that there's some really, really good cameos coming up in Ant-Man. And I don't not much to talk about with Ant-Man because,
I would assume Dom got his tickets because right after we got done broadcasting last week, tickets went on sale.
No, he did. I saw him post that he got them. I'm going to save this other one for next week it's just reviewing what's coming up and what's in development in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
Because
we got time for all that.
before we go into the Last of Us and the Bad Batch, so you didn't see the Bad Batch, right? You're
I
behind.
did. I thought I didn't because it's
It's
the
not.
thing with Clone Wars and Bad Batch, both the series. It's tough to talk about them weekly because there's not a lot to like dig into that they did. I mean, you got a little bit of character development for like Tech. You got a little bit of character development for what's her name, Omega.
Yeah. Now it was a very forgettable episode.
You got a
overall.
lot of Ernie Hudson, which was cool.
Yeah. So the other show, we can wrap up with this. The other show that I have taken an insane liking to, which is going to blow the minds of everyone 2 weeks in a row, The Last of Us is some of the best stuff on TV right now. And it's better for me because I don't know what's happening. Like, I think I know what's going to happen, and I'm pretty sure I know the end of the game.
I
But
bet you don't.
maybe, but so before we get to the Last of Us talk, the fans of the video game and the 3 or 4 fans that like the movie Uncharted have taken to social media to vent their frustrations about how well done The Last of Us is and how completely opposite Uncharted is to them.
To be fair, and I don't know if you saw the meme that's going around right now about it's got Doctor Strange and somebody else and is talking about what universe is this? This is the one where Sony got all the rights to the Marvel characters and made all mediocre comic book movies like Morbius. And and that seems to be that's kind of what Sony does, man. There you go. I agree with Dom with the if you can watch the clickers, you can watch Walking Dead 100%.
I will not say I won't go back and watch that at some point. I can say that is actually an option on the table right now.
Well, because now you've seen like, hey, it's not a movie, it's not a show about zombies, even though it technically is, but it's not.
No, and now we're gonna jump into the spoilery part of The Last of Us. So if you haven't watched the second episode or you don't
Played the video game
or played a video game, we're gonna talk about last night's episode. So we're at 47 minutes in roughly. What did you think of the show? What did you think of the episode last night?
It's the show in general is tough for me because I did really enjoy the game. And it's so spot on. One of the coolest things about The Walking Dead specifically that was just referenced is it doesn't follow it at all. Everything's totally different. Same thing with The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Like this has been so much of it is such a spot on recreation that it feels like a video game, which is fine. However, all of these story arcs in the video games, I'm like, when can I play and go shoot stuff?
There was a BuzzFeed or not BuzzFeed. There was an IGN graphic that popped up that I saw today that showed a couple of the scenes from the video game mirrored by the scene from the television show, and they're just so spot on.
Yeah, they did. Dom mentioned in the chat they did switch the Hive Mind switch up. So reason they did that because I don't know Dom if you hang out after the show airs and watch the after part. We were talking about that last week too. But they talked about their problem was and why they kind of had to go that and with the threads being the piece is air spores work in a video game, but they don't work in the real world.
Right.
Because like why would they not travel farther? Because that's what spores in the air do. In at live action, so to speak. I also didn't realize it was Anna Torv. It was Tess, who I loved in Fringe.
Oh, really?
I didn't realize that was her for the first episode because she was so beat up the whole time. They kind of let her face heal a little bit this episode. I don't know if you watched Fringe, but it was fantastic. It was one of the best sci-fi shows of the last 20 years.
That was the one with Pacey, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm still into the show. I just I think it's good.
Bob is right.
I'm just not all in. So you go. You are heavy into this show.
I fair point, Dom. Fair point. Um, I I don't know all of the Easter eggs, but I know that for me, I am not a big fan of the jump scares. It's not that I'm afraid of the jump scares. I'm just not a fan of them. I usually look at that stuff like, that's cheap easy. I was on the edge of my seat watching this episode. Not literally, because then I would have fallen over, but like I was like you know that they're gonna survive because there's more episodes coming, but I didn't know what happened to Tess. I had no clue. I figured it out when she got bit that there was going to have to be something, but I didn't know that she dies at all. I had no clue.
I didn't remember her making it this long.
Right, and I don't think she did. I think they expanded her role a little bit more. But as I'm looking through a list of some of these Easter eggs, and they're saying how Ellie can't swim, and in the game she can't swim either, so you have to solve puzzles to get her across water. And there's doors that are locked that you have to solve puzzles to get the doors unlocked.
I mean, there's a lot of scenes in this where like you said, you look at it and you're like, oh, this is set up to be this scene in a video game.
Right.
Like when they walked into the library or whatever it was, and there's the
museum.
water, and you're like, oh, this is where you have to climb this to do this to push this across to yeah.
Yep.
But then they don't do any of that, which is I think where Uncharted made its mistake is they kept trying to make him do those things that you would do in a video game too for no good reason.
They just cast it bad. Uncharted was really, really awfully cast, and I'm a huge Tom Holland fan, but he was not cast well in that role. Mark Wahlberg was not cast well as Sully. You had a missed opportunity to cast Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake, and you would have knocked it out of the park. I mean, he even helped you out, and he made a fan-made movie with him as Nathan Drake.
He's just too old now.
Now he is, unfortunately, yes.
Dom, am I disappointed they didn't dive into the tower scene in the show? I gotta remember what that scene was. Look, I haven't been disappointed in the show at all. Like I'm enjoying the show. It's if you've listened to our last 80 some odd episodes of this podcast, so you realize I'm not a big rewatcher.
Right.
So this almost being a rewatch because it's not like a comic book where I read it and I know the story beats. This is like, I already watched this. It was just a video game when I watched it.
Right. Well, that's the only thing holding me back from actually. So you can get the PlayStation 4 version of the game for like free if you have PlayStation Plus, but they just released a remastered high def version of the game that is $80.
I know. It was ridiculous when they released it. I was like, it's literally the same game. They didn't update anything except for the graphics, and it's crazy.
It's not worth it.
But I'm not a big rewatcher of things in general. Like I'm even like for my killing time, like Frankel rewatched The Office. I'm like, ooh, there's new episodes of Letterkenny. When I have a half hour, I'm going to go watch one of those because it's so good. The writing's still great.
Sure as he got a second season.
Oh my god, I can't wait. Sure as he makes a guest appearance in this season of Letterkenny, season 11. But that's like I said, I enjoy the show for what it is, and I think it's well done, and it is gorgeous for sure. It's just my thing is like I already know where it's going. I don't think they're going to change that many of the story beats because there's such a huge audience that didn't play the video game that will watch the show.
Now, are they going to have to change something if they're going to do a second season?
No, there's a second video game.
Right, but wasn't there something? Oh, I don't know. Let me leave that to not mentioning it. I
think your tough part is there is a time jump going into the second season, and the girl, what's her name, Bella Ramsey? No, yeah, doesn't play young. In my opinion, she doesn't come across as a 14-year-old girl. She comes off as a snarky college kid.
Yep,
to me.
No, she does.
Which is the only part that's kind of weird because they keep treating her like she's like 11 or 12.
Right.
And I'm like, but she's like 20.
Right.
Because like I said, she doesn't play young, which was one of the things that I think I really liked in the game, and it was voiced by God, she was on the show with Jamie Alexander, and she was also the little girl on the last season of Growing Pains. You know what I'm talking about? What was that name of the show with her? I don't know. It was a fun show. Huh?
Ashley Johnson?
Yeah. She was the little girl with the curly hair on Growing Pains, the baby they had at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But she was Ellie for me. Like her voice performance was fantastic, and just the way they had that character laid out and drawn. They did a great job with Pedro Pascal as Joe, which I didn't expect.
Oh, she was Chrissy Seaver, and Blind Spot is what you're talking
Blind
about.
Spot was the show. Yeah, that's what I said. The youngest
Yeah.
Seaver.
Yeah.
But she even now in her like her 40s pulls off that like little girl voice fantastic.
Right.
Which I think that might be the one piece like because I'm sitting there going, oh no, she's supposed to be young, and this girl doesn't play young to me. But I do, like I said, I'm enjoying the show. I think it's gorgeous. I'm not like, oh my god, this is the best show ever, because I'm like, well, they just reshot a video game, and I think like I can't imagine them trying to make a God of War movie, because the video game, they're not going to match it. It's such a gorgeous game. The
Right.
story is so good, and it's because
Right.
it takes you 60 hours to play it.
That you're still playing.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, now I'm in the grind phase, because now I'm like at the point where like I need to go get all the stuff 100'd to go to the end.
Yeah. I considered buying a new game, but I figured the new Destiny thing's releasing on the 28th of February, so I got a month to do that. But in 2.5 weeks, the Hogwarts game comes out, and I'm going to get that and play that.
Yeah. And I still have Midnight Suns to get through after I finish God of War. So
yeah. Wow.
I got to figure out I think I pre-ordered the Hogwarts game actually, because then my other kid can play it on his PS4.
Yeah, I have
The
that.
deluxe version gave me a PS5 and a PS4 for him.
Yeah, I usually do that. My Xbox is my son's home Xbox, so any game I buy, he gets. But his Xbox is tagged to a friend of his, so any game he buys, I'm screwed, but his friend gets.
Got it. Oh, by the way, R.I.P. Marvel Avengers.
Yeah, that went the way of Anthem. They decided that they're not going to make any more content for the game, and they're just going to cease all support for it.
But in March 1st, they open up all content to everybody. Everybody gets everything they want in the game.
Except Spider-Man stays PlayStation exclusive.
Oh, right. But I mean, all of the trophies and the armor and all that stuff opens up to everybody on March 1st, where you don't have to grind.
I'm so glad I tapped out on playing, because if I had spent money on that stuff and then everybody got it for free, I would have burned Crystal Dynamics to the ground.
Well, I think they did a good enough job of that themselves.
I'll at them and F them too.
So, hey, as always, make sure you tell a friend. Even if they can't watch live, they can always catch our podcast anywhere you get your podcast, whether it be Google, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. If you're on Apple or Spotify, make sure you drop us a 5-star rating. Give us a review. Help people find the show. We always love the conversation that you all bring, and would love anybody else that wants to bring some. So you can find me this weekend at Wilson's, and always at jackkidmusic.com. And you can find Dylan right here. And how about you, Frank?
I'm just here.
Sounds good.
I got nothing this week.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all soon.
Fly, Eagles, fly.